Hello, Syngap land. My name is Michael Graglia, and today is Friday, May 13th. This is episode 60 of Syngap 10, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about Syngap What. I want to start with the big news. We got a major preprint out this week. I talked last week about what preprints were. Go listen to episode 59 if you're not sure, but it's a big deal. It's come out from the Quadrato lab at USC. Last author was Quadrato. Second to last author was Marcelo Coba. As you know, if you've been paying attention, Marcelo Coba is on our scientific advisory board, and we funded him a couple of times on stem cell and organoid work. Awesome that investment years ago has paid off, and congratulations to the first authors who are the postdocs or the pre-docs who've done all the hard, heavy lifting, and that's Marcela Betrelle and Daisy Del Doso. So thank you, all of you, and all the other authors for that incredible work. I'm gonna be honest with you. Most papers I can scan, look at the pretty pictures, and kind of understand what's going on. This one, heavy science. So what that means is, I don't know. If people hadn't told me what it means, I wouldn't have a clue. But what I can tell you is that it's going to go into a major journal, and it's going to raise the profile of Syngap 1 because the findings are pretty darn cool. So look forward to that, and congratulations to Doctors Quadrato and Coba. And here's a funny story. Dr. Quadrato got involved in this because Dr. Coba across the hall was like, hey, I'm working on these organoids. And Dr. Coba had those organoids because a few years ago, Dr. Hans Schlett from our scientific advisory board in Eric's dad called him and said, hey, you do some cool proteomics work. Have you ever heard of Syngap 1? So, well, I know it's a gene, but no, I think it's interesting. You should look at this. And then he sent him Eric's blood, and then I've sent him Tony's blood, and then he's got blood from 5 or 6 other families. And so Professor Coba has a number of organoids in his lab and is working on our gene in a very deep way. And that has turned into this incredible preprint. So it's a really good day for Syngap land when something like this happens. And congratulations to everybody involved. I'm just thrilled. And I'll share our tweet about that in the show notes. We've mentioned it on Facebook, etc. Webinars. Thank you to Professor Peterson, of USC, who gave an incredible webinar yesterday. It was webinar 56 on working with school districts and the laws around special services for our kids and how important it is that we do that. So don't miss that one if you've got a school-age child. That pairs well with webinar 53, which was Jackie Cansier talking about behaviors and advocating for your child. So we've got some incredible content on that webinar page, folks, and it's science and advocacy, and it's just great work. And we're not going to stop. On June 2nd, maybe our next one, there might be another one before that, I'm losing track. Gavin Rumbaugh from Scripps will be giving a talk on Syngap isoforms and the way it's spliced into different sort of types of Syngap. If you're like, what are you talking about? You got to go to the webinar. It's going to be very good. Gavin is one of our experts. June 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific, syngap.fund/splice. That's going to be one not to miss. Let's talk about fundraising. I keep talking about Sprint for Syngap, but the number keeps going up. Last week it was 127,000. This week it's 137. Why? Well, the Tavillas they wanted to get over 100, and they made it. So the Tavilla total is 100 grand, and everybody else we raised about 37 grand. So good job, everybody. Thank you. Every dollar matters. This is a whole grant that we just raised for, at least, well, a normal grant. We're doing some abnormal grants these days, but it's a big deal, and thank you. And I'm already looking forward to Sprint for Syngap 2023, which will be April 29th, 2023. Mark your calendars. Get your teams going now. This is exciting, and there were 600 different donors that wrote a check to Syngap Research Fund. 600 different donors that wrote a check to Syngap Research Fund. We're doing our piece to raise awareness and help people learn that we're in this struggle and we need their help. It's really great work. Speaking of fundraisers, Aaron Harding is leading a team with Peter and Callie and Heather and who else, doing the $1 Million Bike Ride with UPenn. UPenn is a major partner for us. Dr. Heller's lab is there. Dr. Prosser's lab is there. Ingo Helbig is there from our clinical advisory board. Katie Helbig is an amazing genetic counselor there. Bev Davis. I could go on. There's an incredible team at UPenn. And the Orphan Disease Center at UPenn runs the $1 Million Bike Ride, and the first $30,000 we raise will be matched. So that's a no-brainer. Go ahead and please give some money to the $1 Million Bike Ride. Share that out. Support that team. If you're anywhere near Philly, go to that event and make sure you are rooting them on. It's going to be exciting, and there'll be a great dinner that night. So looking forward to that, and thank you to UPenn for including us in the organizations that you believe in enough to match what we raise. This will be very exciting, and hopefully we'll raise a lot of money, and hopefully it'll go to a lab. Who knows? Maybe at UPenn. Mice. We're still raising funds for those 2 mice we're going to make for another company that's interested. I talked about this in episode 59, I believe. Please support that. Syngap.fund/2mice. And then, hey, it's my birthday at the end of the month. I'm getting older. And it's my tradition to do a Facebook fundraiser and to match every dollar that goes in. So I'm at 5,000 right now. I'll keep coming, guys. I'll match it. Please give some. If you're on Facebook, please give some money to my birthday fundraiser and support it. I will point out the birthday fundraisers are low-hanging fruit. Every time I wish someone happy birthday on Facebook and they're a Syngap parent, I die a little bit inside. I'm like, what? I don't say this out loud because that would be impolite, but I'm like, why are you not doing a Facebook fundraiser for Syngap? Why, I give money to it. Fine, match. Do what I'm doing. Match. Say, I'm going to do a birthday fundraiser. It's my birthday. I want to raise 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 500, whatever dollars for Syngap, and I'm going to match the first 1,000, whatever it is. It's a way of letting your friends painlessly, like, oh, it's so cool. It's your birthday, Syngap. Your kid's got Syngap. Click, click, click. $25 flows from Facebook to SRF. 0 transaction costs. They don't take a penny. God bless them. And it just flows into our account. 0 work for us. Somebody cuts a receipt. It's really effective. And Facebook fundraisers are such an important part of our fundraising platform. So please seriously consider, as your birthday approaches, even better if you do it 2 weeks out, by my example, right? If you put it out there and you encourage people and you just make it a thing, hey, it's my birthday, my kid's got Syngap, let's support Syngap research, SRF's amazing. So please think about that. Remember, we thank people for doing birthday fundraisers by taking what you raised and giving you a 10% of what you raised and giving you a gift certificate to our gift shop. So that's pretty cool, right? And you can go and get hoodies and t-shirts and stickers and all the things. Okay. Moving on, storytelling. I want to talk about storytelling. The Dravet Syndrome Foundation is a lot larger than us and has the resources to do really cool stuff. So they recently had a communications consultant do a webinar on the importance of storytelling, and it was so good. It was a 2-part webinar. I'll share the link. Just happened. The recording should be up soon. And the first one was on the power of telling your story, ending with an ask, all the important things. And the other one was social media. And you've all heard me say it, right? Get on Twitter, engage, share your story, tell people about your child, tell people about your journey, make a family movie. Well, this is a really great why you should think about that and how you should think about that. And it's a free webinar and it's available. Thank you, our friends at Dravet. Please check out that. Link's in the show notes and think about if your church, if your boss, if some drug company asks you to stand in front of a room of 5, 10, 100 people, are you ready? Do you understand the flow? Can you talk about your kid and your journey and what it means? Can you explain Syngap 1? Most of us can't. It's really hard. I've been trying for 4 years and I'm still working on it. So I encourage you, but don't abdicate that. Don't be like, oh, let me call Mike. No. You do it. It's your kid. It's your community. It's your story. And I urge you to all think about that, watch these webinars and be like, okay, how would I tell that story? It's so important. I want to move on. Praxis. I keep talking about Praxis, but they keep putting out great news. So last week they put out their Epilepsy Day and I had a Twitter thread on that. And this week they put out some earnings and I added 4 tweets to that Twitter thread. Link will be in the show notes. So basically what I observed in that from their thing was, first of all, they got some cash. They got about $200 million, and that will get them to Q3 of next year, right? And then you have to ask yourself, well, wait, we're not even going to have a candidate until next year, so how are they going to fund the research in that? Well, that's the second tweet, is you look at their pipeline for this year. Like, they've got a lot going on, and if they get some good results, they're going to be able to license that or raise more money off that or whatever. So that's pretty exciting. That tells us we have a company who's got a lot of irons in the fire and is building expertise. Think about this for a second. This is the third tweet. Building expertise on regulatory for cutting-edge genetic therapies for monogenic rare diseases. Example, SCN2A gain of function. If you don't know what gain of function is, just call me. So right now they've got a trial going on with STN2A gain of function, and it's public information that the FDA just sent them a letter and said, just put that on hold for a month. We'll come back to you with more information. And everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? I think their stock went down 6% that day. It could be just whatever. Who knows what it could be? But we have to remember that there are parts of this process that are highly uncertain, and the FDA can be a little tricky sometimes. Do you see how I'm trying to be measured in my comments here? And so we're going to be going through this process, right? Getting two companies to say they're working on your disease is just the beginning, right? Then they have to get something. Then we have to design a trial. Then we have to do a trial and get FDA approval. And then there's marketing. There's a whole thing that's after that, health economics, whatever. But what's great about Praxis is what we're seeing right now is that they are developing the regulatory expertise to do this work. And that's huge. So thank you so much, Praxis. Keep going. We're proud of you. Last and very important point, Praxis is announced that they're partnering with Gavin Rumbaugh and Scripps. Yep, the same Gavin Rumbaugh from the webinar on June 2nd to support his small molecule screening platform. So it's been a few years. I mean, Gavin's had at least one, probably two grants from the NIH to do a small molecule drug screen. And I think the NIH announcement said it was for autism, but this one says it's for Syngap, and really it probably always was for Syngap. Who knows? Doesn't matter. So I'm excited about that because I think Praxis being involved in that will mean more resources and more urgency. And we always need more of both things, right? More resources, more urgency. So I'm very excited to hear that and to see it. You know, before I was worried that any hits would be owned and controlled by Scripps, and now I'm worried that any hits will be owned and controlled by Praxis, and they will prioritize, and they're probably really high. And I'm still desperate for us to have a small molecule screen. So I wish Praxis every success, and I'm glad they've got a heavy hitter like Gavin involved. And I still think that, especially for repurposed drugs, we need to do our own screen. By the way, we are doing our own screen. We're working with Rarebase. So if you remember, what, 6 months ago, we did this partnership with Rarebase, and they're doing the small molecule screen. We're going to get that readout next month. So next month, Rarebase is going to hand us a list and says, based on experiments in healthy cells, healthy non-Syngap cells, here are 30 drugs that make Syngap go up. Next step, we have to test those in Syngap cells from patients, which we've been making. But it's not going to be cheap. But it is going to be fast. You can save time, you can save money, you can't save both. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're still noodling on it. Stay tuned, watch this space, but super exciting. Super exciting. I got ahead of myself with the drug screen. I want to come back to capricious and the perils that face rare disease drug development. So it was also announced today or yesterday, I don't remember, that Hunter syndrome, which is a really, really bad disease that happens to little boys. And it's not great. And Takeda's been working with Kim at Hunter syndrome for, 8 years. And Kim Stevens. And it was just announced recently that they're going to discontinue that program. And it's not great news for them. Now they're saying there's another program and, we think the other one's going to be better. So, but still takes time. There was a lot of hope and a lot of, we're almost there. And they had a trial, and it's been dosed in kids, but for whatever reason, they discontinued it. Takeda's a great company. I'm not saying anything about Takeda. I am saying that we have to remind ourselves that programs can get turned on, programs can get turned off. The FDA can say yes, the FDA can say no. And when you get your head wrapped around that, you understand why I'm so focused on endpoints. That's what the eye tracking survey was. It's developing an endpoint. That's what the ORCA was, developing an endpoint, developing a scale. Not an endpoint, a scale. Same thing. So a big virtual hug to Kim Stevens and the Huntington disease community, the Hunter's disease community. That one really was sad to hear about. And this is why it's great that we have Stoke and Praxis and hopefully more soon, right? We need a drug for our kids. Our kids need better options. And by being relentless here, by working with everybody, by investing in Citizen and making sure everybody can get that data, sign up for Citizen, we're going to get a therapy for our kids. Thanks for listening. I've kind of ignored the 10-minute rule for so long, and I'm not even going to apologize this time. All right. Have a wonderful weekend.